What's up, TikTok and YouTube? It's your boy B-Flow, and I'm back with another video. Today, just gonna do a quick video, and this is pretty much directed at anybody, as far as anybody that's got yard carts, regular race carts, mini bikes, anything that use a Predator 212 style, clone style carburetor, SP, Ruixing, any of them carburetors like that. Basically, just say you crank the engine up and it don't want to idle. A lot of times, a lot of people don't know. I get all kind of inboxes on, hey, my Predator won't run. I crank it up and it don't want to idle. So that's kind of where this video came from. So I'm gonna show you what it is 99.9% of the time. What it comes from, for one, is leaving ethanol gas in your carburetors. These things aren't really good to leave ethanol carburetor in them. I run non-ethanol if I'm not racing go-karts, just cause you can leave it in there and it won't gunk up and stuff like that. But you know, but 90% of the time I'll drain them. But anyway, I'm gonna show you usually what the issue is. When you go to put the choke on and crank it up, and then as soon as you turn the choke off, it cuts off and it don't want to idle or anything like that. And then I'm gonna show you, whereas if this is up against the motor and it's leaking fluid out right here, it's leaking gas out, I'm gonna show you what's that come from, and then I'm gonna show you where if it does idle, but you give it, you know, from half to wide open throttle, and it start cutting out and things of that nature. So first off, we're gonna start with the you crank it up and it don't want to idle once you turn it off choke. So first thing you want to do is you want to unscrew this piece here. 90% of the time, this is gonna have to do with your low speed jet. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna unscrew this, and you're gonna take a small flathead screwdriver, and you're just gonna pry up right here, and you're gonna pull that bad boy out. That's what they call a low speed jet. And what it is if you look right there, you might not be able to see it, there's a tiny hole right there that gets gunked up, and I'm talking, it don't take much to stop that little bitty hole up. And so the average person wants to know, you know, how they unstop that hole. So let me show you something. I know everybody's kitchen's got some bread in there, right? So go to your wife's kitchen, grab this little guy right here, right? Just a bread tie. Grab your bread tie, right? Then you want to just do just like this, and you want to pull it to where it looks just like that. See that right there? That's the size of that main or the low speed jet. Hold tight one second. Anyway, I just wanted to, so I'm gonna take a caliper, zero it out. Put in inches. So this thing, just to give you a rough estimate, around 13 thousandths, right? So most of these jets are 15, 16, 17 thousandths. Or even bigger, depending on. So this should definitely go in there. So you take that little bread tie and literally, you just want to stick it in there, like so. All right? And I just spin it, all right? just want to get it to where you can push this all the way through there, right? And once you get this to where you can push it in there, you should be able to blow and air blow out of both that hole and that hole. Once you do that, pop that bad boy back in there like so. It just lines up like that. Pop it back in there and screw it back in, and you'll know about where idle should be, about there. And then you crank it back up, and I bet you can turn choke off and she'll run. So that's gonna cover that. Crank it up, turn the choke off, and it dies. So now we're gonna cover what typically happens from about half to quarter to wide open throttle if you're having issues there. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take a 10 millimeter and you're gonna pop this bottom bowl off, all right? Gonna pop this bottom bowl off. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna look here, you're gonna take a flathead screwdriver and you're gonna unscrew your main jet out, right? Just unscrew, get that main jet out, right? You're gonna do that. I usually got a flathead in here. Let's see if I can get it to come out. Anyway, there's an emotion tube in there. This is old car. There it goes. There you go. And this is an old junk carburetor, so I'm not really worried about it. Anyway, there's an emotion tube in there. So anyway, this is what they call the main jet, right? You should be able to see through that guy. See, this one's clean, so there's nothing there. So if there is something in there, you can actually use you can use to start off with this, and then if you got a welder at home, you know, the welding tool that cleans the tips out, you get you a set of those. I got a set out there, I just forgot to bring it in for the video. And then you just want to clean it out real good. But really and truly, if you're running a stock class, I wouldn't stick anything in there that could potentially make that hole bigger, because then if a no-go gauge goes in there and it goes through, you're gonna get thrown out. So just some brake cleaner. If you're running some stock stuff, you know, like that, where they're gonna be teching this, don't do that. Just get you some brake cleaner and blast that baby, and it'll come out. And like I said, there's an emotion tube in there too. For whatever reason, it's not wanting to come out. But just make sure that emotion tube's clean too. I don't have an Allen wrench in here. Let's see if I can get it to come out. Anyway, it's not coming out. So anyway, that'll typically clean the motion tube out, make sure the main jet's clean, you can see through it, and that'll fix that issue. Last issue is you crank it up and it's leaking fuel, just leaking fuel all over the place, man. Leaking fuel, you can't get it to stop. Take the bowl off, take this bowl off, and see this piece here? This is the float. What happens is, as it fills up with fuel, your carburetor sits like this, right? So this would imitate an empty carburetor. As it fills up, this float goes up, right? And as it goes up, what it's gonna do is if you go to the inlet side right here, if it's working correctly, you should be able to blow and nothing, it don't let any air in, which would be fuel. Now, once it goes down, as in the carburetor's empty, right? See what I'm saying? So as it goes up, it closes, no fuel. As it empties, it lets that air out. Now, if you're having an issue where it's just pouring fuel out of it, that means this thing's either stuck, it's stuck down like this. It's got gunk in there that's not gonna allow it to go up and close off the circuit. So at that point, what you wanna do is you wanna take this little rod out. You're gonna take that out, and you wanna take the bowl off. First things first, you wanna check the float and make sure it's got that spring on it right there, right? If it don't have that spring, it's not gonna, when it goes down, it's not gonna push itself back up. See that spring? See how that spring operates? So make sure that's functioning like it's supposed to. And then after you do that, you're gonna come right here. There's a little hole there. And what I do is I take brake cleaner, I spray that whole brake cleaner, and I go back to my little bread tie, like so. Really good, right? Clean it out real good, spray it with brake cleaner. After you do so, you're gonna take this guy, stick it back in that hole. You're gonna take this, line her up like so, and I do about half it's on each side, or it's even on both sides. See that? Working properly. See how I push down and it springs back up? That's a sign that it's working correctly. After you do that, make sure you got your gasket on the bottom. Like I said, it's a junk carburetor, so I'm not worrying about it. Put that bad boy back on. Well, make sure your main, it's assuming you've already put your main jet and all that back in there. Like I said, it's a spare carburetor, so I don't really care about it. Put your bowl back on. Screw your nut back on the bottom. Tighten that bad boy down, and you should be good to go. Anyway, I hope this video helped somebody. And it should. Like I said, that pretty much gave you all three scenarios on the three main carb issues that you have. Typically, it's flooding, or it's it's leaking fuel out of it. And this is all assuming you got the correct jetting. It don't want to run on idle after you turn the choke off after it's been sitting for a couple months if you left fuel in here. And then it's just gotten trashed. Somebody forgot to put a fuel filter on their main line running into the carburetor. Always make sure with anything, it don't matter what you're running, make sure you put a fuel filter on it so that you don't have issues with this. And also, at the end of your, end of riding, when you get done riding, what I typically do, there's an on and off switch here. That last little bit, I turn this fuel bowl off, and I'll sit there and let it idle, or I'll ride it through the yard until it shuts off. And then I know this bowl's empty. If you don't want to do that, and just shut it off, there's a drain right here. Just unscrew this screw right here. Boom. Let all your fuel out. And typically I might spray a little bit of WD-40 in there, and I'll spray the carburetor with a little bit of WD-40. Just the WD-40 keeps all your O-rings and stuff like that lubed up. And this thing does have a ton of O-rings. So anyway, I hope that helps somebody. Until next time, B-Floor Outdoors 118. Catch y'all next time. Later. Thank you.